Hi, everyone. I am really excited to welcome you to All the Farms A Stage, the final performance from Not Our Farm's second cohort of queer, trans, and BIPOC farm worker storytelling fellows. My name is Malika. I am the programs manager at Not Our Farm, and I'm also a farmer, an artist, and an organizer in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And facilitating this fellowship has been really, really special and important to me on a personal level. And I'm especially excited by this year's theme, which has been farm worker organizing and movement histories. Um, this year's fellowship has been made up of 11 farm workers from all around the US and with all different farming backgrounds, working across different kinds of industries and types of farming. And they've also made projects across a breadth of mediums, which you're going to see tonight. And we've learned so much from each other over the last 6 months, um, from sharing stories about farm worker organizing, stories of land defense struggles, report backs from solidarity trips that the fellows have taken to other countries, and also just sharing with each other the process of creating their projects, getting feedback from each other, learning about each other's art practices and different mediums. And I'm just totally amazed to gather all of these people here tonight and for you all to get to witness these really powerful works. We've also had a few guest facilitators over the last 6 months that I'd like to thank. Heron Quevedo, who spoke to us about the Farm Bill and about the history of labor organizing and agricultural labor policy in the US. Lou Keza Brandman Verissimo, who did a session with us on making public art as a political strategy, and Miguel Morales, who was actually one of our inaugural storytelling fellows. And he came and visited us and did a guest session on poetry and writing. And I believe that most, if not all, of our guest facilitators are here tonight as well. So we're really, really happy to have you here and see you again. And I also want to thank Bruje for doing live Spanish interpretation tonight, Jeanette for doing Spanish translation in the chat, and Sarika and Rich for doing live ASL interpretation, and Anita for doing tech support and just so much support in general. And before we get started, alongside their projects, some of the fellows have questions or thoughts or proposals for the audience. They have resources and fundraisers to share. So please participate in all of the ways that you can and show your love and encouragement with reactions and in the chat. And finally, some of the fellows have videos to share, which may not show up in the best quality through Zoom for all of you. So when we're sharing a video, I'll also drop a viewing link to the video in the chat. And if the quality is not great for you, you can mute the Zoom and watch the video alongside us and then join back once we're finished. And after this event, all of the projects are going to be uploaded to our website. And there'll also be a recording of this event that will be sent out to everyone. Okay, enjoy. And I'm just really, really excited, honored to share all of these pieces with you. First up, we have Mar.
Everybody hear me okay? Okay, good. Buenas, hello. My name is Mar, and yes, I should yeah, talk about the project. I'm so sorry, I'm gonna start my timer. Um, Next slide, please. I created a scene called Land, Dirt, Soil, Tierra. I wanted to name it this title because I think when I think of tierra, I think of all these words. I think of what it means to me and what my feet are on, what is often found under my fingernails, what grows what I eat, and also the planet that we call home. Next slide, please. I wanted to create with this fellowship something using a variety of mediums. So I used risograph, which is a printmaking medium where you can scan images and you can have them reproduced via soy ink with paper. So I scan, you can see it's a cabbage, un repollo, una lechuga. And I also wanted to use paints to paint a version of myself when I come home sweaty and mucky and gross. And also, I feel very like powerful too when I come home from farm work. And the zine looks like this. I'm really excited about it. And next slide, please.
Great.
I think as a queer immigrant from the global south, I feel really connected to my queerness and my identity as an immigrant. As not only did I come here as myself, but I came here as like part of a community, right? Like when I first started studying botany and horticulture, I was really fascinated by like, yeah, tenderness of growth and the tenderness of care and how so much of these practices of land stewardship are about sharing knowledge. And it's really hard to be an immigrant right now. I'm not gonna lie to you. I feel very stressed. I feel really heavy most days. And there are some days, like yesterday, I was hauling like a wheelbarrow full of dirt, wearing my sun hat, and a nice lady stopped by and handed me a bottle of water while I was on top of the pickup truck, and I felt really kind. But also, a police car drove by, and I kept thinking, like, I know who I look like right now because I am an immigrant farm worker. It's also very lonely work, farming as an immigrant sometimes because there's I really appreciate not our farm from bathroom access because that is something that is hard. And I steward currently 2 acres. I'm pretty much on my own, but I'm part of a team that stewards 34 acres in total. So there's like a lot of teamwork components, while also like me alone listening to a podcast while I harvest and haul wheelbarrows full of soil, land, tierra, dirt. Next slide. I wanted to talk about what is illegal and who is illegal, right? And futures with our borders or prisons. And I wrote, all in all, 8 poems. The vegetable ones are all translated, so I think like 5 of them are translated. And yeah, they're poems about just falling in love and wanting queer futures and wanting a gay farm. Um, this morning, actually, one of my friends who also moved to the south while engaging in farming was talking to me on the phone. We were platicando, we were ranting about how hard it is and how heavy it is, but also how beautiful it is and like how important it is, right, to learn economy and to like learn how to grow our own food as people, especially with everything that is happening right now. And I really believe in it. but it's a lot to navigate. Um, yeah, I'm gonna read you some of my poems, and I'm gonna read it in English first, and then in Spanish. No, sorry, Spanish first, and then English second. This one is called Tomates. Me dijiste que a ti te gustan los tomates. A mí me gustan cuidarlas, salvajes y necias, abrazadas una encima de la otra, chupones sin dueño, montañitas de desorden. Tú y yo somos muy ambiciosas. Ojos de estrellas, susurrándose una a otra, sueños de cenas comunitarias en la noche, mientras cortamos matas. Me mareas cuando agarras mi mano, jugo y semilla en nuestros labios. Estos tomates buscarán una forma de estabilidad, algo que soporte cuando se estiren, una casita donde vivir, con una ventana por si acaso uno quiere treparse e ir afuera. Buscan un sueño, un anhelo, una posibilidad, un deseo. And this is in English. Tomatoes. You said you like tomatoes. I like to grow them wild and improper. Limbs on top one another, suckers untamed, mound after mound of mess. You and I are too ambitious for our own good. Eyes full of stars, dreams of community dinners, whispered between late night trimming, head in days. You make me spin when you press your hand in mine, juice and seeds between our lips. These tomatoes will need a fence to hold their sprawl, a home to call their own, a window to climb out of to escape, a place to yearn for, a fever dream. And my second poem and last poem es Cuando regresamos del agua, de las guerras del agua, parte 2. Es difícil imaginar una vida más allá de las guerras de un mundo en donde los gigantes de acero ya no destruyen nada más, un lugar en donde las maduras ya se convirtieron en la conversación más suave, una realidad en donde lo que una vez era terrible y poderoso simplemente desapareció. Sí, es difícil imaginar que algo así es posible. Es como mirar a una pequeña semilla y decir que aquí adentro vive toda una sandía. And this poem is called When We Come Home from the Climate Wars, Part 2. I know that it is hard to imagine a life beyond the horse, a world beyond the battle, where the iron giants have ceased to destroy, where the hardened rules become soft, where what was once mighty is now gone. Just like it's hard to look at a seed and imagine an entire watermelon waiting to blossom. Thank you.
Thank you, Mar. That was amazing. I love that last poem. And also I've been watching a lot of like apocalypse content, and I feel like this is the kind of apocalypse content I want. Okay, next we have Kaitandra.
Oh, can everyone hear me okay?
Yes.
Awesome. Um, I'm so grateful to be here. It's been so awesome working alongside all the other cohort members since we started. Um, and yeah, this just feels like really surreal because I feel like it's been like it's been like 6 months since we started, so it feels really awesome to like be here and like share all of this with everyone here. So I have to introduce myself. My name's Kaitandra Menifee, and I like to also go by Tandra. And I use they, he pronouns. I'm originally from Dayton, Ohio, but I'm currently based, which is Meow Meow Land, and I'm currently based in Limbehoking Land, in Brooklyn, New York. And you can go to the next slide. So, I know there's a lot of words at first, but my project inspiration came from my previous farm jobs that I've had. And most recently, I was a farm assistant working with high school interns at a farm called Red Hook Farms, in Brooklyn. And I was really inspired to speak to my experiences of feeling kind of burnt out and just like talking honestly about burnout that I felt as a farm worker, and especially like within my gender and like body dysphoria that I was experiencing at the time last summer. Um, and so I created this mind map, kind of asking this question of how can I explain feeling out of place in my body? Um, and specifically reflecting on how I was perceived by my coworkers or other volunteers or high schoolers, and questions about my gender, and like feeling kind of out of place, and also feeling like rest wasn't really seen as valuable in farm spaces. So I decided to create a sound score and music composition, that I called Low, that is also going to be the backing music for a dance film that I'm in the process of creating, with one of my close friends, Cielo. Um, and uh, he's also a Black trans person who, like, both of us have experienced really, uh, just like really difficult, like, feelings in our body of dysphoria, and have tried to mend that through like wearing binders or trans tape. Um, and it's actually really exciting that 3 weeks ago I had top surgery. And so I won't have to tape or binders anymore. And so it's been really cool, like building this project in response to all of my feelings at my previous job and feelings of exhaustion, and also um yeah, just like getting to this really huge milestone. And Cielo also had top surgery like 8 days after me, so it was really crazy. And it's crazy to think back. I wrote in the mind map on the screen that I used to like call Cielo on the phone to just like talk with him when I was out harvesting at Red Hook, like alone, and like would help me focus and process my feelings and stuff. Um, and something else to mention too is that not currently working at Red Hook because of like funding cuts, and I wasn't able to come back for the role that I was in previously. And so I think that this project was just really coming from all of these different perspectives, and wanting to build a sense of rest and peace within myself, not defined by my labor or not defined by my dysphoria. So yeah, you can press play on the song to give a preview of what it sounds like. And you can pause it. Um, Thank you for playing the preview. And then on the next slide, is a short time lapse of me and Cielo and my close friend Jordan filming the project, like the beginning project, which would be like which is before footage from me and Cielo, like before both of our surgeries and like showing us taking off like our trans tape. So you can play the video. It's really short since it's a time lapse. And then to close out, I just wanted to you can go to the next slide. Um, I just wanted to share that a big inspiration for this project was Toni Morrison's novel Sula. And I was inspired by these quotes where she talks about building for a brief moment, for once, of not feeling fear, of looking at death in the sunshine and being unafraid. And that was really something that I was trying to embody in this world building and the dance film that I'm creating with Cielo and Jordan. And you can go to the next page, the next slide. And just closing out with this other quote that was really inspirational that Toni Morrison writes of the character Sula is describing that she says, but my lonely is mine. And I wanted to create a feeling for me and Cielo where we could feel like we were enough on our own and like enough in our bodies, like before surgery or after. And also like having this really personal experience of taking off trans tape, but being able to do that in the same space, but like not facing each other. And that was really special to experience something like alone, but together. And thank you so much for listening. That's the end of my presentation.
Thank you so much. That was so beautiful. And thank you for just sharing your process and inspiration and map and friends with us. That's really, really special that we get to be a part of it. Thank you. Okay, next we have Lucicita.
Hey everyone. Um, um, I'm just gonna dive right into my project. Next page. So I titled it's a photozine that I titled Eating Clouds. Ni las moscas quieren comer la tuya. Um, and the zine came about. I had a whole different project before this photozine actually, and then ICE came to Minnesota. And everything changed for me. And I saw the ways that like we think of like clouds as representing like, you know, vessels for water that feed our plants and like help us grow our harvests and nurture us. And then I also saw like clouds of smoke, of carcinogenic smoke on streets not far from my home. And um in my brain, I couldn't help but not connect the two of how, like, the way that we treat the human body, the way that we treat people's labor and their existence is so equivalent to the way that we treat land, or I should say, um, yeah, to the way that we treat land. And so this photozine is a compilation of really intense and maybe triggering for some folks. Photos of ice violence in Minnesota, accompanied with um, with photos of land extraction in Puerto Rico, particularly done by Monsanto. And then on the flip side of that, I wanted to show, various forms of resistance. So, what does it look like for children to be saving seeds alongside someone resisting ice in the streets? And how can we hold the fullness of all of these things? Next slide. Next slide. Clouds blossom in the sky. acid rain falls. Green smoke as far as the eyes can't see. They burn, tear, tear. He lies on the ground, eating clouds, a back full of knees. Next. Next slide. Armpits glisten like the morning dew. You brush sweat from your forehead. Fertile, black dirt. Clouds roll in, crack open. It pools, puddles, soaks, and slurps. Plants hydrated, a foliar consumption. Next slide. Next slide. Next slide. They force fed us clouds. Smoke traveled on wind. A 6-month-old dies and is revived. Cloud of smoke. Forced food. Plucked from earth. Put on plates. Nourishment. Who profits when black and brown bodies die? Sick, sick, sick. Next. Next slide. Next slide. I am heavy, full. I slosh as I move. I am the dark gray. Wetness smelled on air. A forecast of the senses. An assault on the body. I am quiet rage. Spirit filled. Next slide. Next slide. Ni las moscas quieren comer la tuya. As bees dies, the other side of the mountain poison. Wind carried it onto his property. He drives to the market with his cosecha. A car broken down on the side of the road. He stops. A Monsanto scientist waiting for a tow. A truck full of papayas. Let's do an experiment while you wait, he says. The confident scientist agrees. They both cut open their respective papayas they grew. One GMO, the other not. A timer is set. 5 minutes. Time shifts. What do you see? He asks. The scientist shrugs. Nothing. The farmer's papayas were laden with flies, landing, tasting. The scientist was bare. Ni las moscas quieren comer la tuya. Thank you.
Thank you. That last poem really hits. I feel like I've just taken in a different part of the story every time. Thank you for sharing your poems and photos. And yeah, you read really beautifully. Next, we have Sun.
Hey everybody, my name is Sun. I'm also going to put on my timer just to make sure that I stay in the time frame. Yeah, my name is Sun. My pronouns are they, them. Oh, I don't think people can see me, sorry. And I'm on the occupied traditional lands of the Salagi or Cherokee people, colonially known as South Carolina. And we can go to the next slide. My project is called Mako. Mako is the grandmother deity in Korean shamanism and is considered the goddess of all of creation. This painting that I've made, I wanted to highlight the key feminine roles in traditional Korean society and how their relationship with the natural world manifests in modern times. This painting has been really important for me to process the spiritual connection that I am redeveloping with my Korean identity. I am a Korean and white mixed race person, and my mother is a Korean adoptee. So this project is a way of my deep love for my mother's lands. Korea is a very traditional agriculture and fishing society. And while much of the world doesn't know this because of the recent media industry, it is something that I find deep pride in. And I hope that through the following figures I share, you will also share that sense of love with me. Next slide, please. The first figure that I am highlighting is the mudang. This is traditional Korean shamans who practice the oldest form of spirituality in Korea. The most famous mudang is Manchin Kim Gumwa, who passed away in 2019. I have paired the mudang with rice because, like Korean shamanism, this is one of the oldest surviving crops in Korean history. Mudangs are also mostly women or femmes. Next slide, please. Next, I am highlighting Haenyeo. Haenyeo are freediving women from different islands off of mainland Korea, and some even in coastal towns on the mainland. They are famously known for their strong lung capacity and ability to navigate the ocean very intimately. They also do so without any breathing tanks or anything like that. This tradition spans back over 1,000 years, with this role being primarily women throughout that time. I have paired Haenyeo with sea urchin, as this important food source helps maintain the balance of the ocean ecosystems, just like the Haenyeo do. Next slide, please. Next, I'm highlighting Sunim, who are Korean Buddhist monks, and I'm including them because they are foundational in Korean cuisine and agriculture. While many Theravada Buddhists, which are some of the most traditional forms of Buddhist monks, rely on donations of foods from their followers, Korean Buddhists largely grow and ferment their own food due to the mountainous isolation that exists within the country. I am pairing Sunim with Pyoko mushroom because Sunim are forest protectors who are entirely plant-based and often forage for their food deep in the mountains. And in this photo, this is one of the most popular Korean Buddhist monks. She has helped bring Korean Buddhist cuisine to a global audience. And next slide. And lastly, I'm highlighting Damunhwa Kajong, which means multicultural family. As somebody who comes from a very mixed race family, including Korean, Black, and white family members, I want to show the many ways that Korean identity show up in modern society. While Korea is a largely mono-ethnic culture, due to colonization and rapid globalization, there has been a boom of multiracial Korean people within the last few decades. I am connecting Damunhwa Kajong with the cabbage or bechu, because this iconic crop, known as the most famous kimchi ingredient, was actually introduced to Korea several hundred years ago and only began to be commonly used in the past 200 years. For me, this feels like a symbol of Korean people's adaptability and kind of serves as my hope that like Bechu, multiracial Koreans and migrants living within Korea will begin to be more accepted as part of the Korean identity. Here is a photo of two of my younger siblings. I have many siblings, but this is the photo that I chose. And yeah, so thank you everybody for listening, and that's all I have to share today.
Thank you, Son. It's really evocative and beautiful to see those images side by side, like the people you were inspired by alongside the details of your painting. Thank you so much. Next up, we have Daniela.
Hello. Everyone can hear me?
Yes.
Hi, I'm gonna start the timer. Hi, my name is Daniela Peña Guzmán. I am based out of Otoao, Boriquen, colonially named Puerto Rico. I am currently a garden coordinator at Camji Lares, Centro de Apoyo Mutuo en Lares, which is a community center and a rescued, like, abandoned school. And I also have done farm work in coffee farms. You can change the slide, please. My inspiration for this fellowship were the Jibaros and Jibaras campesinas, the farm workers that live in rural Puerto Rico. I was really inspired by their creativity and innovation with mending and repairing their tools, or just finding whatever resource they had readily available to meet their needs. And I was also inspired by the concepts of agroecology, which specifically are circular economy, environmental sustainability, and community building. I was also really inspired since I was working at a coffee farm in the moment that this fellowship happened. We would harvest coffee with woven baskets made out of vines that grow in the island. And so that really inspired me to create something woven out of natural fibers. You can switch the slide, please. So I thought about, okay, what is the most readily available resource I have, like in my backyard, in my community where I work? And the answer was banana trees. So I decided, and I know that you can harvest fibers from banana trees. So I decided to work with that first. And so the first step actually was find a resource. I contacted my mentor, Juanita de Lares. She's a local weaver and artist. And so she taught me how to extract the fibers from the banana tree. And so I harvested, it took me like 3 banana trees. I actually used the stem to make my woven piece. And so basically, the first step is harvesting. Then you kind of peel off the stem part like an onion. You can switch the slide, please. Next slide. And so those are like the individual. Oh, you skipped one. Can you go back one? Thank you. So once you peel off the layers of the banana tree, like I cut them into strips. And then after that, I would dry them for 2 weeks. You can now, the next slide, please. And so you can see me there hanging up the strips of the fibers, which I wanted a contrast in colors because they dry up like a beige color. Depending on like the humidity, you get like a lighter or darker color. And so I wanted a contrast in colors, so I decided to use achiote, also known in English as anato, to dye some of the fibers red. And as you see there, I tried to make a big T to dye the fibers, but then it ended up being more vibrant, just like pulverizing the seeds and painting them. You can go to the next slide. Yeah, so on the right are the fibers that I painted with achiote and actually made ropes with them, which in here we call cabuya. And on the left side, you can see like the beginning of my process weaving. I did not have any design idea for this. This project was completely intuitive. I tried to design it, but I just started weaving and the design came by itself. So I decided to make 3 big circles representing the 3 principles of agroecology. And then the ropes dyed with achiote are kind of like the accents inside of the circle. You can go to the next slide, please. And that's my dog. And so this is how it came out. The the circle on the left is, I decided to make a spiral, also intuitive, which represents the circular economy, like trading with your neighbors, reusing, recycling, mending, repairing, everything that has to do with that. The middle one is community building, which I started like combining the ropes, and it actually came out like an eye in the center, and that kind of like represents like our interwoven lives. And then on the right side is a tree which represents sustainability. Yeah, and you can go to the next one. So this is my finished project. It's a like a wall piece, and I learned a lot doing this. I learned how to extract fibers. I also like I had access to this information of agroecology through the academy, but I realized that it's simply just ancestral practices, and it's how we've always done things in rural areas. So thank you so much for listening and coming, to my family members and my friends. Thank you.
Thank you, Daniela. Really amazing to see your process and just like the way you approached it so intuitively and had fun with it. I really enjoyed talking to you throughout this fellowship and hearing about the process. Next, we have Xander.
Hi everyone. Um, Thank you all so much for coming. I'd like to thank every one of you, and I'd like to thank my family and my community for this opportunity, and really just bring in the energy of the people who've come before me and the farmers. I've been a migrant farmer for the past 5 years, traveling from so-called Virginia to so-called Washington, the land of Duwamish lands and Monacan lands. And this is my project. If we can go to the next slide, that's me with my plants. Yeah, next slide. This is the flyer that I made for the fashion show. I decided that with my fellowship money, I would reinvest into the community and pay models to model a workwear line of fashion. I reclaimed a lot of clothes, and I work a lot outside. And when I work outside, I'm doing farm work, I want to look a certain way. And so I designed a lot of these clothes with myself in mind. And I think it'd be really great to just share these designs as well. So yeah, this is a flyer I made. We ended up having a dinner and a clothing swap, and some people came, and we can go to the next slide. So this is one of the pieces that I designed. This is actually 3 pairs of overalls that I combined. I got a local photographer to do some promotional videos. This is the clothing studio that we worked in. It's called Carte Blanche, based out of Virginia Beach. They do a lot of one-of-a-kind pieces, just like this one. And so we partnered together. They also received part of the fellowship money from, and yeah, we can go to the next slide. This is the video. So yes, please enjoy.
Reminded us that she was sick and tired of being sick and tired, and who understood that freedom is tied to land and self-determination. Here in Virginia, that history is real. In places like Princess Anne County, Black communities were displaced, their lands taken, their food systems disrupted. That history is not distant. It echoes today, and that's why we do this work. My agricultural journey is rooted both in generational knowledge and lived experience. My ancestors were sharecroppers here in Virginia, and on my mother's side, my family survived through hunting, fishing, and farming after immigrating from Southeast Europe. And I have my mom here today. Woo! In the green dress. For the past 5 years, I've worked as a migrant farmer across the United States, gaining experience in livestock butchery, dairy, and regenerative systems. I've managed herds, built infrastructure, studied seed sovereignty through Ujama Seed Ethics Fellowship with Ira Wallace, and worked in community education with Black Star Farmers in Seattle. Now I'm bringing that knowledge home to build systems rooted in care, access, and sovereignty. Because our struggles are connected, from Palestine to the Democratic Republic of the Congo, Haiti, Hawaii, Iran, and across the world, we stand with all oppressed people. The same systems that displace farmers, exploit land, and control food are global, and so is our resistance. We fight for our collective liberation, for land stewardship, for food sovereignty, for community care. Stories like Parable of the Sower by Octavia Butler remind us that survival depends on adaptability, vision, and each other. And that's what today is about, community. From 2 to 3, we will have a fashion show featuring garments made from local and recycled materials. From 3 to 4, we'll be hosting a clothing swap alongside seed and food donations because sharing our resources reduces waste and keeps our community sustained. And from 4 to 5, we'll gather for dinners made by my family with local ingredients like sweet potatoes out of her garden, beef that was butchered and processed in Virginia, and homemade kombucha that I made with Gigi. I want to thank my family, my community, and our sponsors, Sowing Love, 10 Organic Cosmetics, Southern Exposure Seed Exchange, and Not Our Farm for making this all possible. Everything you see today, this food, these clothes, these seeds, is rooted in care for the land and for each other. Because we cannot do this alone, we need each other. We need to organize, to share, to learn from history, and to build something different together. Thank you.
Woo! Thanks, y'all. I don't think I have any slides after this or anything, but I just want to say again how grateful I am. Oh, I do have something. I made a zine. I made a zine for everyone who came, and this is a digital version of the zine that I can make available for people to have. And it talks a lot about Fannie Lou Hamer's legacy, what we're doing now, as this program that I feel is budding, and I can't hold it any longer, but it's named the FFC after Fannie Lou Hamer's project. And it talks a little bit about what we're doing now and what we're working towards, and what we have going on next. And next, I am working through another grant with the National Black Food Justice Alliance to hold classes to like Garden 101 type of classes. So that I'm going to be doing that this next month and through the spring. And that's what's coming next. And I think this is my last slide, but I'm really sad for this to be wrapping up, but I'm really proud of everyone and I'm really thankful. Thank you. I'm out.
Thank you, Xander. Your words were so amazing that you said at the event, and it just looks so fun. I want to be there. Thank you so much for sharing. Next up, we have Caitlin.
Hi, can folks hear me?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Yat e shikedo shidene she e Caitlin nakadene and she kia ani and she nakaidene bashishi bipotoni dashiche dona kaidene dashanella. I welcome you all with a good heart. Thank you all for being here with us. My name is Caitlin. I am a Diné and Chicana farmer from northern Arizona, where I grew up. Farming and growing our traditional foods and medicines. And more recently, I have experience farm working in both the Bay Area and the Southwest. Right now, I'm currently based in Ogopoge, Owinge, or so-called Santa Fe, New Mexico, where I work with Three Sisters Collective at their Full Circle Farm, where we grow traditional heirloom crops and herbs and medicines that we redistribute to the community for free. And for next slide, please. Sweet. Okay. And so for my project, I decided to create pieces of traditional art that would live at Full Circle Farm as vessels of reciprocity, so that when folk come to the farm, they can interact and give offering to these pieces, and the land would be able to receive them in a good way. And so early on in the fellowship, I had the privilege of making a garden oya, which for folks who are not familiar, are unglazed porous terracotta clay pots that can be buried in garden soil and filled with water to provide efficient slow release irrigation directly to plant roots. And this old technique reduces water usage by minimizing evaporation and runoff, which is super important in places like New Mexico, where water is becoming increasingly scarce due to prolonged drought, climate change, and the overallocation of our rivers like the Rio Grande. And so, in the context of the Southwest, I thought that making and using oyas can be a small, meaningful act of resistance against wasteful systems. And it can also be a gesture toward restoration as it reconnects us to a way of growing that is slow, place-based, and accountable to the limits of the land that we're growing on. And so I included some photos of when I was creating the oya before firing, and I inscribed the words "Twa ina" into the pot, which translates to "water is life." And then I have some photos of when I was planting the oya. I planted them near some hollyhocks and rose bushes, which we use as medicine. And I also included a photo of my grandmother's hands, and she's someone who has taught me a lot about working with clay and stewards this practice. And so I'm excited. And so another piece that I created was heavily inspired by Daniela's woven offering. And since this fellowship took place over the course of winter, I really wanted to pay homage to that by including some evergreens into my art piece. And so across many indigenous communities in the Southwest, pines and evergreens are respected and revered. And they're used in our ceremonies, our dances, and in medicine. And in this way, they're seen as offerings of exchanged in relationship. And so I created a pine needle basket, which is a type of coil basketry that we do. And we make them by binding bundles of needles together with sinew. And then we slowly build from the center outward in a spiral, which is culturally significant. And I created this basket because offering baskets are hold what we give back. And so this basket will hold like sage, tobacco, or cornmeal because that's what we pray with. And it's a way to acknowledge that the land is not just where we grow, but it's also a place where we give back because it sustains us and it teaches us. And so in this way, the basket becomes part of a larger cycle where the pine gives its needles, I gather them, and I weave a basket to offer back to the land so that it may receive our offerings, our prayers, and our love and our care. And so in creating both of these pieces, I was doing a lot of like written reflection, like journaling, and that came to me like in the form of poetry. And I was writing from the perspective of my masana or grandmother. And so a lot of that poetry took the form of like in my native language. And so I wanted to share that with you guys as well. And so I compiled a short film with some B-roll from last growing season when I was working at the farm. And next slide, you can press play.
Dag alni do taladin bezad adits da yerad go whoosh whoosh danigo naltien go bedajilni da dina joniye do bitch dawinanigi bedajilni taladin bezad go shina ilna Shinak eshtwo nahaltin. Dag alni do Tadadin bazad. Ta altswojit hajona hasli.
Thank you. And so for the video, in the video, I chose not to include any English translation as a way to decolonize myself, my language, and the stories that we share. But I can provide a translation here just so folks can get an idea of like the inherent richness of like storytelling within indigenous languages. So my poem is still untitled, but from the center of the cornfield, the language of corn pollen sounds. When the corn stalks rustle as they say whoosh, whoosh in the wind, they remember the rain, they remember our beauty and our hurt. The language of corn pollen moves within me, woven into mountain song, dawn song, my name and my mother's voice. My tears are raining. From the center of the cornfield, the language of corn pollen makes everything beautiful and harmonious. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, Caitlin. Your words and your weaving are really beautiful. And the video I think didn't play for everyone, but we could still hear your poem. And I also put the link to the video in the chat if y'all want to watch separately. Okay. Let's Next up we have Homie.
Hello. Peace. I give thanks to the land supporting me, Lenape-Hoking, and ceded ancestral land of the Canarsie. Thank you to the earth holding us through everything. Gratitude for everybody in our cohort and the season shared together. You all have touched my life. Malika, gratitude to Malika, who held our container with such care and groundedness. Thanks to them, I felt this sense of freedom and acceptance throughout the fellowship. It helped me see the importance of our just being in the world as ourselves, even beyond these identities of land tenders and artists and so much more. My offering today is a song. If we work together, there's a big chance that I'll ask you to sing with me while we plant or harvest or shovel compost. I've loved songs in a round. They're simple and they're magical. And they have an eternal yet ephemeral quality. And I wish we could sing all together, but tonight it'll be me and some versions of me on a 4-track recorder. So here we go. Dream upon dream, wake upon wake, we will be free. Memory. Dream upon dream, wake upon wake, we will be free. Memory. Dream upon dream, wake upon wake, we will be free. Memory. Dream upon dream, wake upon wake, we will be free. Memory. Dream upon dream, wake upon wake, we will be free. Memory. Dream upon dream, wake upon wake, we will be free. Memory. Dream upon dream, upon wake. Dream upon Memory. Thank you.
Wow, homie, thank you. That was so incredible. Thank you for serenading us into a new world. Next, we have Omalara, who unfortunately is not feeling well tonight and could not make it. So we're missing them. But I'll just say a few words about their project, which is a really incredible, multifaceted kind of experiment. And it's a microcurrency experiment called CREAM, taking its name from the Wu-Tang song, but their acronym is Community Rules Everything Around Me. And they have utilized a bunch of mediums, including textile and recycled fabric and patterns to create a microcurrency that they then distributed in their community in Florida. And they're going to be like sharing the results of that as well. So this is the kind of textile pattern model for their currency. And then in this slide, you can see that the one of the notes is of red ochre. And so they chose different plants that are important to them or hold some kind of cultural significance as the different notes of the currency. So I really wish that they were here tonight. They can explain so much better than me, but we will be sharing their project on our website in the future as well. Okay, next we have Isa.
Hi, everybody. So much gratitude for this space. I feel so burnt out as a farmer, as many of us probably can feel the walls closing in on us, trying to prevent us from expressing ourselves, being true to ourselves. And so having the resources, the time, and the community that y'all have built to access that and tap back into that has been really, really healing. Yeah, I'm gonna try not to cry. So I'm Isa Peña, pronouns she and they. I'm coming to you from Coast Miwok, Pomo, and Ohlone lands. I've experienced farming on a ton of different types of farms, nonprofit, production, educational, and even commercial beekeeping. Now I steward land with people in prisons where we grow food and medicine and heal ourselves through plants and farming. And I also run a BIPOC bee club just for fun. I came to this work through just my lineage as, a Salvadoran displaced from the homelands, both parents campesino farmers. And like many of us here now, we're not free from the same violence that expelled us from our lands. And we witnessed that unfolding in a very real way during the fellowship, especially as we watched our farm workers being targeted by ICE raids. So next slide. I decided to name my project Flowers for Our Farm Workers. Farm management is in the top whitest professions in this country, but the hands that feed us, we know, are exploited migrant labor, often brown, black, indigenous farmers, Asian farmers. And so I came up with this proposal out of a deep sense of rage and anger and frustration and sadness. Next slide. And chose to reactivate my practice as a flower artist. I used to be a florist, and I left the industry because of the very similar dynamics of erasure and exploitation of the farmers who grow the flowers. Meanwhile, the majority of the florists making million-dollar contracts are white. Let's just be real. And so this proposal came out of that, reclaiming my artistry. And I decided to create this. This was just a rendering I made on, using online tools on Canva, all handmade, no AI. We don't do that here. And it was also a return to my practice of mutual aid, of in-person activation, collaboration with others and spreading beauty and joy and free flower distributions, which goes back deep into my roots as a florist. Next slide. So I tapped into my local community for this collaboration. I was hosted very graciously by the Good Table Cafe. It's a sliding scale cafe that is run by Planting Justice, and they do incredible work with the community of formerly incarcerated individuals here in the Bay Area. They run so many incredible programs, internships, and they hire people from the community, and I'm connected with them through my work at this nonprofit called Land Together, where I facilitate inside prisons. So thank you to Sam and to Soul, both who kept justice for hosting my art piece. It's also an art venue. So if you're in the Bay, you're looking for an art space and your work is in any way committed to justice, they are an incredible resource. There's some art pieces that they have called a solitary garden that essentially recreates what a solitary confinement cell looks like. And these were designed by people currently in solitary. So it's a real world connection to people inside. You can also write letters, and there's a phone booth with recordings about from people in prison. And we timed this for the farmers market. It happened last weekend on a Sunday, and we kept the art piece away from the farmers market. And I'll explain why in a second. Next slide. So the whole process took about 3 days from start to finish, not including the of coordinating and proposal, but I made 30 bouquets using local farmed flowers and oranges and orange branches from the tree that I have in my yard. I borrowed harvest totes from my friend Z from Cool Nursery. Thank you, friend. And with every bouquet, I also distributed Know Your Rights cards and links to fundraisers and rapid response and other resources. Next slide. I don't know if this will show, but it's just a short video of me setting up the piece itself. The mechanics you can kind of see, but I wired the harvest totes together with florist wire, and each of those bays are hand tied, so they were very easy to just kind of plug in and those are the orange branches. And I put tons of oranges in there to represent the produce that our farm workers are harvesting and feeding us with every day. And so it's just kind of a reminder of like how important like our local food system is, and also through flowers, the impermanence and like food of all of these resources. And after a floral installation, you typically just throw away your flowers in like the flower industry. And so I chose to distribute them instead and make that a point of activation for the community. Next slide. And so this is the final piece, a protest sign. At the very bottom, you can see that there are gloves and zip ties representing what you see during an ice raid, the produce just kind of all over the place, and a resource table, including the zines that were mailed to us from Not Our Farm. So thank you for those resources. And this was in the nursery itself, away from the farmers market, but people were passing in and out throughout the day. Next slide. And I was able to hand out all those bouquets to people, those resources that I stated, and a link to encourage donations. I also received a lot of generous cash donations that I then passed on to these different mutual networks, and I'll put the link in the chat. These are just some of the people who received them, and my favorite thing that was in the bouquets was rosemary. Next slide. And to close, this was the end of the day, and this was kind of the second layer of the floral installation. Was I wanted the image that we are seeing all over the news kind of to be front and center at the end of our day, which is what happens after our food has been distributed. It's these empty harvest totes, but this image in particular is what you would expect to see at the end of an ice raid, is totes thrown around the field, produce just lying everywhere, the gloves, the zip ties. And so the image I thought was a little too triggering to put in the farmers market itself, but it was something people could engage with in this other space. And I took it, I distributed all the oranges, gave them out to people, brought them to like a potluck the next day, and really was able to live and work aligned with like my values, which I don't get to do often with flowers. So thank you so much for this space and this opportunity.
Thank you so much, Isa. Your floristry is so incredible. And just the way that you made this into a multi-layered like community event, and also having so many meanings and impacts. Okay, last and not least, we have Lorenz.
Hello, everybody. My name is Lorenz. I work on a farm in so-called Chicago, and I've been a farmer for 5 years and an organizer for 9 years, fighting for change in the Philippines. And so the come up of like not our farm being meant to highlight farm workers and not necessarily the ones who own the land, I thought that this would directly actually interrelate with the issues of landlessness in the Philippines. So I was born in San Pascual, Batangas, in the Philippines, and this project coincides with my ancestry as a Filipino, as well as my politics and work as a farmer. On October, I went on a trip to the Philippines, and there we got to interview farmers and got to live in the communities in the province, and learn more about their struggles. So, this music video project basically highlights some of the conversations with the people that I got to talk to, with footage from the trip alongside footage of Filipino farmers, events and protests, talking about land reform and the conditions of civil unrest over there. And the music was performed and recorded by my friends and I. You can feel free to download it off of SoundCloud and the later slides. But I'd like to make a dedication to not our farm, our friends and members of Anak Bayan and Malaya, all the farmers and organizers that met in the Philippines, Kuya Alan, Tita Regina, Tatay Antonio, victims of extrajudicial killings, those currently struggling to make a living, and those fighting agrarian issues throughout the world. And I believe we've shared the video link in the chat. So if you want to see maybe a bit better quality video, feel free to click on that and meet the Zoom just to watch along. So yeah, we can go ahead and go to the next slide. And
if your subsistence is dependent on land, being a farmer, and you don't have land, then your will, your capacity is constrained by the people who are powerful, the landowners. So that is basically the problem there. The ones who have lands are not farmers. And they don't cultivate the land. They don't make the land productive. And that affects the economy as well. So the system of exploitation and oppression came from the very roots, which is colonization. That even up until now, those who control the resources, those who control the businesses, those who control the land, are the people who once were the oppressors.
will do everything in his power to make sure that the corruption scandal investigation will be diverted away from him.
Since this has all been exposed, well, it's actually known to many people, but it has now been exposed to the general public. Do you blame them for going out into the streets? If I wasn't president, I might be out in the streets today.
So the only recourse of the people is to protest, and to protest in large numbers, and to sustain the protests until we can exact accountability and justice.
Pwede naman!
mao kini ang kinabuhi sa mga militanteng simbahan.
Karapatan ng mga seafarer, gulong na yan, mga kurakot! Gulong na yan, mga kurakot!
Ang lupa ay buhay, kaya handang-handa kami na maghanay ng aming buhay para ipaglaban ang tunay na reforma sa lupa.
Okay, thank you everyone for watching. I think it's worth mentioning that these issues are directly interrelated to us living in the belly of the beast as well. That our tax dollars go directly towards the extraction of land, the uprooting of people's lives in the Philippines and all around the world. And this is just here we have the link to the SoundCloud, and then song credits to Matthew on the keys, Esther on the bass, and me on the drums, as well as credits to where I got some of the footage, some of like the news reels, and such. In the next slide, I have missions for detained migrants who we're currently working with. So if everybody could go ahead and sign on to those petitions, that would be much appreciated. I put the Linktree QR code over there as well. And this trip wasn't just the one and done instance, that there are actually a lot of opportunities for anyone to come and see the conditions themselves. So I would like to invite everybody here, if you're interested in learning about our movement, and maybe even going out to the Philippines to see it yourself, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lorenz. Thank you for closing us out. That was so inspiring. Amazing song. I'll be like listening to it on repeat. Thank you all so much. I know we went a few minutes over time. Thank you for staying and sharing all your encouragement in the chat. And I know we have some tech issues with the videos, and we have Albuquerque Spring Winds contributing. So please check them out on your own through the links, and I'll send out with the recording all of the things that everyone has shared, the petitions, the fundraisers, resources, and please continue to engage in that way. Follow along on our website and our newsletter and Instagram for all of these projects to be uploaded to our website. And just thank you so much to all of the fellows who are part of this cohort. I'm really, really proud of you, really grateful to have gotten to know you and just to be a part of this. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Good night, everyone. Thank you for coming.